I sat across from Dr. Stratuli while he examined my credentials. I looked around the room curiously. "Is this a picture of you?" I asked, holding up a framed black and white photograph of two young men in lab coats. "Why, yes it is," he said, "although that was taken many years ago." "Good-looking fellas. Who's this?" I asked, pointing to the other man in the picture. He smiled. "Thank you. That is an old colleague of mine." He took the frame from me and he gazed at it. "Ben Sanders. He was quite the popular one amongst the ladies. He would have loved you." I felt myself blush. "I mean it. Any guy would be lucky to grow old with you." "Thank you," I laughed. "Well, Miss Whitmore, everything seems to be in order here. Did they tell you about the medical precautions?" he asked. "Yes. They said that I needed an immune system booster if I wanted to interview him directly." "Will that be an issue?" "No." "Perfect. I'll grab one on the way down," he said, looking at his watch. "We're on a tight time schedule." The long hall to the interviewing chamber lacked all personality. No pictures hung on the walls. There were no fake plants or statues to break up the monotony. There were not even door numbers or name tags identifying the rooms. We turned into what I guessed was an infirmary. It was equally as boring. "You're going to administer the shot?" I asked. "Well, I am a doctor," he answered. He turned towards me with a syringe prepared in one hand. "Is that a problem?" No, I said, not wanting to offend him. I began to roll up my sleeve. I just figured that you had other people for things like that. "This goes in the leg," he said. "It's an intraosseous injection." I stared at him. "It goes into the marrow of the bone." "Oh," I was nervous. "Is this the only option?" I asked. "Yes, I'm afraid," he replied. "You see, with a subject like this, we must take all precautions to keep you safe." There was a brief pause. "If you would like, I could find somebody else to do the "No," I protested. "I'll do it. This could make my career." Do you know how many reporters would kill to interview the 188-minute man? The injection hurt more than I thought it would, but I held the pain in. The doctor explained that the 188-minute man seemingly never died, like most rumors suggested. "You see, his tissue never dies. Not completely. Most of it does, and what is left deteriorates to a small jelly-like substance, only about the size of a penny," he explained. "And then it slowly multiplies and begins the growth process, essentially. It turns into a fetus." I sat there, rubbing away the pain from the injection site while he continued. "Basically, he starts as a cluster of cells and develops into an adult. He goes through the same life cycle stages we all will, only at an alarming rate." "Every 188 minutes, right?" I asked. "That's why they call him the 188-minute man." He sighed. "Yes, but please, do not call him that during your interview," he begged. "Oh, sorry, of course." "It is okay, it doesn't bother me, but his existence is painful and lonely. I would hate for him to have to learn on the street that people have named him, like a freak in a sideshow." He continued with his orientation. "He goes through a year's worth of changes on average every 2 minutes. Following each death, he deteriorates to the same jelly-like substance he started as, and the process begins again. I jotted notes down frantically. And he's the same person every time. Yes, he always becomes the same person. There are anomalies, but he looks nearly identical each time, and his personality traits do not change. We make him aware of his condition, but he cannot remember his previous lives. I sat there, scratching lead hard into my notepad, trying to keep up with him. His dying is often peaceful, but the reformation... Reformation? I didn't mean to interrupt. Yes, the period between his death and rebirth. I nodded. The reformation and period until he is like that of a prepubescent child is rather disturbing to watch. It causes him excruciating pain. His physical state is also very fragile during this time. For these reasons, I cannot authorize you to see him until about 30 minutes into his life cycle. I couldn't wait to finish his orientation. If you do not have any questions for me, I can get you in to see him shortly. He looked at his watch. He should be approaching the end of his adolescent stage shortly. No, nothing that I can think of. The interviewing room hosted a steel table and 2 chairs on opposite ends. There were 2 doors on opposite walls and a dark tinted mirror that I all but knew was a 2-way mirror made for observation. You'll be coming out of that door there, the doctor said, pointing at the door opposite the one that we came in. If you need anything, I'll be right outside. Not a minute had passed before the other door opened. I inhaled deeply as he sat. Hello, I am Alan Whitman. I stuck a hand out. Thank you for allowing me to interview you. He accepted the handshake with a smile. Hello, Ellen. That's a beautiful name. What can I do for you? He asked, emotionally calm for somebody who just went through nearly 2 decades of bodily change in just over half an hour. I was suddenly at a loss for words. Well, I began. I'm sorry, it is really hot in here. What are you feeling right now? I mean, having just been informed of your situation. He nodded. Yes, I was just informed and I'm shocked myself as to how accepting I am. I have exactly... He looked at a small digital watch. 136 minutes left in this life. Why ruin it being depressed? And you cannot remember anything from your past lives, is that right? He pondered the question for a moment. Yes and no. He read the confusion on my face. Let me explain. I cannot remember my previous life, or the one before that, or many before those. But I do remember my first life. Your first life? I asked, fanning myself with a notepad. Yes, I was not always like this. I was not born the 188-minute man. I stopped fanning myself. It's okay, he laughed. I know all about my nickname. They give me newspapers. It helps me to understand and accept my situation better, I guess. Can you tell me about your first life? I would love to. I have the feeling Zach didn't tell you everything exactly how it had happened. Zach? Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Stratuli. You call him by his first name? He laughed and he smacked his leg with enjoyment. Oh yes, Zach and I go back a long time. We met at the War College. Wait, you're the guy in the picture in his office? I was amazed. Yes, I know the picture that you're talking about. Ben, right? At your service, he joked. Let me get you caught up to speed because there isn't much time and I want you to remember all of this. I put the pen back to my pad. It happened many years ago, during the height of the war. We were in a desperate need for troops. The government started to experiment with cloning. He read the expression on my face. I am not a clone. Attempts at cloning were successful but time-consuming. We did not have time to wait 18 years to get clones ready for battle. So, we developed a drug to speed up the aging process. It was supposed to stop at the age of majority, but instead, it just sent all the children into cardiac arrest. This is incredible, I thought aloud. This story is going to make my career. He reached out a hand and gently stopped my scribbling. Looking up, I could already see the aging process. I don't think they're going to publish whatever story you are trying to write. I looked at him confused. Please, let me finish. We thought that the reason our drug was killing the clones was because of an adverse effect it had on their biological makeup. We created another drug, exponentially less potent than the first, and planned to administer it to the donors, of which the clones were made from. And you were the test subject, I asked. He shook his head. I sat up straight to rub my back. Sorry, I feel like I've been in here forever. I stood up, needing a good stretch, and I noticed his gray hairs creeping into wrinkles. His condition was like an unstoppable wave of aging. He must have been going into the last stages of his life cycle. I don't get it. Why would you, one of the country's most renowned scientists, be selected for a trial-based drug? Well, we could not get the FDA to approve the drug. When they heard of the terrible side effects and the countless deaths of infant clones, they shut us down. I took it upon myself, with help from a select few, to prove them wrong. I took the drug. 2 hours into observation, and my body was like that of a 60-year-old. I knew that I had made a mistake, but I never expected to go through the rebirthing process. I sat there, heartbroken for him. I couldn't imagine his pain. Ben, I'm so sorry. It's okay, he said, tears in his eyes. They told my wife that I died in an accident in the lab, and that my body would not be recovered. I covered my mouth with a shaking hand. Don't be upset, Ellen. It isn't all that bad. I mean, you get used to it. I put the pad down. If they are just going to censor me, why would they invite me here to do this story? I told you, his is a painful and lonely existence, Dr. Stratuli said. He startled me. Had he been listening the entire time? I spun around to find him leaning against the wall. With a look of sorrow, he gestured towards the tinted mirror with his brow. A gasp took the breath right from my chest. I nearly fell to the floor at what I saw. My reflection, a familiar but exceedingly aged face, stared at me. Mimicking my every move, my youth and beauty had melted away. I charged the mirror for a better look, but I had grown slow and my bones ached. No, please, no. I looked to Ben for help. You've aged beautifully, Ben said. No, no, please God, no, don't let this be real. It'll be okay, Ben said, limping over with an outstretched hand. Unbalanced, I took his assistance. My arthritic fingers cold in his hand. I'm sorry, Ellen, but everyone wants to find love, Dr. Stratuli said. For the last 50 years, I watched my friend relive a 188-minute nightmare. I tried everything to bring him back. I tried everything to kill him and stop his rebirth. Nothing works. I'm getting old myself, and I'm afraid that when I die, he will have no one else. We wobbled with age in each other's brace, one wanting love, one needing assistance. The 188-minute man and the 188-minute woman.